Hey, yo. I just want to add in a little before each of these next couple episodes, add some context, some director's commentary, what have you. I have dreams and aspirations. Shocker. We had a great thing going with this podcast, a regular schedule, where we'd have a cycle of 10 episodes with some familiarity and reliability. It was great. Then I had to step away for 2 years. See last video. And the channel went untouched entirely. I always had the intention to come back, but I wanted to feel ready. I have dreams and aspirations. So hold on tight. Things might get weird and creative and goofy, bizarre, experimental now and then. This podcast is a ready-made place where I have an outlet for my writing, my filmmaking, editing, comedy, passion for this game, performance, etc. Anyway, but I wanted to give a quick note about this specific episode. Fun fact number 1. This episode was recorded in early 2024. Within 8 months, this episode was a bit outdated. Just a little bit. We discuss how we think there will be no future bannings of any kind. In September of that year, 4 cards were, I guess, controversially banned. That led to the RC and CAG receiving terrible messages from terrible people, which led to the RC dissolving and WotC taking over. But you all probably know that. And since then, 0 cards have been banned. As such, obviously, that being one, we get some things wrong in this episode. But the spirit of the discussion stayed true. And in fact, there are things we discuss in this episode that become more relevant than ever. So I just wanted to stop by because some things in retrospect, with the knowledge that we have now, feel wild. Could be interpreted as rude in the face of, well, everything. But again, we feel like the spirit of what we say is true. I could have edited it to be more accurate to what ended up transpiring, but that's hardly entertaining. Not that we're brave airing this episode. And secondly, we weren't wrong, generally. Thirdly, without this, I couldn't condemn you fuckers who just couldn't mope around for a few hours and decided that your precious little casual format was more important than the safety of other human lives. Oh, I couldn't play with my monkey in sanctioned play. That's what you were angry about. Anyway, I'm excited to present the next few episodes before we catch up and are back onto our regularly scheduled programming. Can't wait to tell you how I feel about biorhythm. Enjoy the episode. Nothing will be banned ever again. Hello, and welcome to Temple of the False Pod, where decks are not optimized, but our plays sure as heck are fun. I'm Andy.
I'm Bruce.
And welcome. We're almost done this season.
Dun, 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 dun.
We figured we'd take this episode to just I don't know. I don't know. What's the topic again, Bruce?
So the topic is why no Magic cards will be banned. They're never going to get banned.
Oh, like in like Commander.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just go.
Yeah. Let's not get crazy. Just in Commander. All I'm saying is that the Rules Committee and the state of Magic as it is, nothing will get banned. I don't believe there will ever be a Magic card printed that will get banned.
That means that R&D is doing their job.
To be clear, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying that every time a new set comes out, people get anxious and wonder, will this lead to a ban? No, it's not gonna. I'm gonna safely tell you right now, and this is with no knowledge of anybody on the Rules Committee, it's not gonna get banned. Yep.
I think it's fair.
All right.
All right.
Well,
Have a good
Andy,
day.
that was great. Yeah, that's really all I had to say. So yeah,
I
I mean,
think you and I have differing opinions on this, even if they do
yeah,
end up on a very similar side of the coin.
okay,
I think that the the issue is much more obviously nuanced than just you know, and
sure,
I think it what for me what the biggest thing is how useful is the ban list to begin with, and like it obviously for those who don't know, ban list is created by the rules committee.
yes.
Rules committee is made up of 5 people.
The number changed at one point, but I believe it's currently 5.
And then there's the CAG, the Commander Advisory Group. There we go.
Yes.
Who kind of help? They meet with them. They discuss stuff. It's a thing. But with that, the idea we're talking about is specifically the ban list. The
Right.
ban list. I guess I'll link it below.
Sure.
But it's made up of cards that either don't work in Commander,
Right.
or like would just break the format, or cards that saw ubiquitous play enough that it became, I guess, unfun. The same reasons you'd
Yeah.
ban something in Standard.
Right. Now, and this, of course, for anybody following this, has been its own entire level of discussion. Why, what the rules committee, why will the rules committee ban this? Because everybody looks at this card and says, okay, well, this card was banned for this reason. Okay, well, then why isn't this one banned? I just don't think that we're ever going to see what's required. And so I've got a few reasons why I believe this is true. So I mean, the first one is anything that costs more than $10, and I use $10 loosely because I mean obviously inflation. Anything that costs more than $10 is not going to get banned. A card that costs that much just isn't going to see the level of widespread play that would be needed for the rules committee to actually make a ban. So right off the bat, expensive cards just aren't going to get banned. Mana Crypt's never going to get banned. Never. And I appreciate that's an older card that has a built-in, cachet. That there's also that reason for it. But take even newer cards. If the card costs more than $10, it's not going. They're not going to ban it. It just doesn't get the kind of use that you need in a format where 60 of your cards could be costing that kind of money. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
You're just not going to see the widespread use needed to get that card banned. So any card over $10, it's not getting banned, and I don't care how oppressive it is.
Yeah, I think the only way you're going to see that is if the card doesn't work with Commander.
So the other thing, self-regulation. I think there are lots of people who just don't want to play the broken card. You can point to any number of cards. It just, people try it, and then they sort of back off and be like, you know what, I did it. That's great, but it's just not that interesting to me. My personal favorite example of this is Deadeye Navigator. For 1 and a blue, when Deadeye Navigator's out there, it can make anything that it's paired with, that it's, soul bonded with?
Soulbound, yeah.
Yeah. You can bounce it. Or flicker. Yeah, thank you. So it leaves, and then comes right back. So anytime you target Deadeye Navigator or the other creature that's soulbound, they just flicker in response. So essentially you can't target it as long as the player has 1 and a blue. But not only that, it's any creature that has an enter the battlefield trigger or leaves play trigger. Deadeye Navigator, for 2 mana, you're getting it. And there's no reason why you have to stop it once because it flickers it brings it right back. So you can do it again and again and again. This this is the definition of a card that should be banned. It absolutely it takes decks that use all of these enter the battlefield triggers on creatures and just destroys it. It makes it miserable to play against. Just miserable. It's not banned. Why not? I have yet to play a game where Deadeye Navigator was in it where I didn't think it should be banned. Every single game. Every single one. I own it. I put it in a deck. And then when I played it, like, this is horrid. And I took it out. And so did everybody else. Yeah. I don't play against Deadeye Navigator decks. Now, yeah, I get it. Costs a bunch. It's hard to get out. Blah, blah, blah. But when it was happening, they banned Primetime.
Yeah. They banned Emrakul.
Right. You can at the time they were banning cards. They didn't ban this one, and they're certainly not going to do it now.
Yeah, and
why
I think
now? I mean, the time has come and gone when it could have been banned.
I think that kind of it is the perfect example of self-regulation, because like you don't see it all that often, but when you do, it is just like. And I think like with Turgid, like all these cards, it's like once you kind of see that like people are able to self-regulate, it does become this idea of like, well, we don't need to ban cards. And like, like if the body itself is self-regulating, then why govern it to that point?
Right. I mean, and it leads right into the next point that I had. The Rules Committee has always said that a card has to be dominating the field for it to consider banning it. And it has to be that way for a while. Like, they're not going to see a card come out and then 3 months later ban it. They've already said they won't do that. They want to see it has to dominate the format for an extended period of time. So, a year? Well, think about how many sets come out in a year. How many precons come out in a year? How many cards come out in a year? For a card to dominate Commander for a year, a format that uses all of the cards out there, Wizards would have to create a card that is so obviously broken that their intent was to get it banned in Commander. They would have to.
Yeah, it would have to almost be intentional. It's like, getting a 0 on like a multiple choice test where it's like you have to purposefully choose the wrong answers.
Right.
Like Skolos, for example.
Exactly.
Our most recent banning.
Right. There's so much churn in Magic right now in just the last few years. I just don't. I think that there are cards that are probably bannable that if we had 2 Commander sets a year and nothing else, those cards would get banned because they would dominate a format for a lengthy period of time because there isn't constantly new cards coming in. People would just be using that card and that would become the best card. That's just not the case anymore. With the level of churn, it's just a good card disappears so fast. And half the time I think that there's a lot of good cards that could be banned that don't even get played. That just move right on past. We move right on past it because here comes the next one. Here comes the next one. It's just so much.
I think kind of what I think what interlocks with that too is the what's the word? The like expressiveness of people on the internet, like not misreading cards, but just like people on the internet not appraising cards correctly. Because like we've talked about certain things before, like Bootlegger Stash. Like people were calling for a ban of that card well in advance of its release, and months later, don't hear anything about it. And that's not necessarily because it's not ban worthy. Like I mean, I don't think it's ban worthy, but like it's absolutely just because it was never ban worthy to begin with, and any group that found it ban worthy is probably forgotten about it.
That that card was, I like to think of it as, it was good enough to withstand the first wave of Magic cards that came after it. But by the time the second wave came, it was just washed under. A card has to be so good, so solid that it just sticks up there and can handle wave after wave after wave of new Magic cards and still be dominant. Those cards are so few and far between now. They just are. I mean, in every year, the cards just get a little bit better. So it gets even harder for a card to maintain dominance for a full year when, the next set coming up is just so much better. That's just brutal.
And I think like with that too, it's not even that Bootlegger Stash was, I mean, I don't want to harp on this example too much, but like that is an example of a card that I just don't think was just correctly identified as bannable. Because I think it was one of those things you just kind of had to play with to realize that it didn't do the thing you thought it did to begin with. Like, we figured out it was just a combo piece. And, like, they're not just going to ban 2-card combos or 3-card combos, like, unless it becomes consistent.
Right.
But.
So, one last one, and then we can sort of really get into the discussion here. The size of the commander playing population. The RC is only going to ban a card if it's dominating the format. The format is so huge right now. It is hard for me to believe that there will be a single card that can dominate that size of a format. And if it does dominate that size of a format, then it's probably going to go up in value, which means it's going to get above $10, which means a lot of people are then not going to be able to play it, and it's not going to dominate the format.
Yeah.
It just, it can dominate a group, but it's not going to dominate a format. Just because of the sheer volume of the community. So you put all of those things together, and it just means that I just don't think the RC is going to ban a card from Commander.
Yeah, and I think with that, it's the thing that they always try to bring up when people are like confused when things aren't banned. But like the statistic that Wizards releases every year of like, a majority of the people who play Magic are not enfranchised players that like play once a week. It's like, or every couple of days. It's like people who play like once a month at their kitchen table. Like it's just very casual on that end.
Right. They're playing once a month, and they're getting cards from their local game store.
Yeah.
And they're mostly pulling that out of like the junk rare bin, or maybe they're spending $5 on a single card that's sitting in a case.
Right.
There just aren't that many of us overall out there who are you and I, who are actually looking at most of the cards and trying to put together a deck, a deck that we think is good overall.
Right.
So, yeah.
And I think that kind of brings it to my idea with this topic where, like, I don't think that they're going to ban a card or ban any more cards with maybe extreme cases. But, like, in general, because, like, they've almost outgrown, or the format has almost outgrown the idea of a ban list. And I think that, with the 3 things that you've posited, or 4, it's very much become this idea that like as it should be, your play group, you've had your play group for 15, almost 20 years now.
Yeah.
So like the idea of the ban list is much more of like a recommendation. Which I think is what it was always meant to be.
And the RC has always said that. Yeah. This is the ban list, but realistically for the RC, the ban list is something that you use in situations where it isn't where it isn't your local group, where it isn't the same group of people meeting week after week. If you're meeting week after week, you don't need a banned list. You already have a good sense of what the power level is for this group. and you play accordingly. Now, if that means you're using a card that could be banned, well, that's the power level in your group. It's not really relevant that it could be banned as long as the games are still fun, and that's all the RC is really looking for.
Right.
Right. It's for situations like your game store, where you don't know, like at a Command Fest. It's wide open. You really do. You need that, or you need that band list, so that you're not wandering into these strange situations. Something to consider. And okay, so I have been very light and upbeat to this point. I'm gonna drift into some negativity here, Andy. I'm gonna go deep.
I'll try to bring you back.
If the rules committee decides to ban a card, or sorry, you've got a format that's as big as Commander. Millions are playing this format. Millions. It is widespread. Everybody plays Commander. Even people who don't enjoy Commander as their Magic style probably have a deck somewhere. It's all over the place. Let's say the rules committee does decide to ban a card. At that point, they kind of have to hope that people go along with the ban, because they have no way to enforce it. If the rules committee tomorrow said, you know what, we're going to ban Smothering Tithe. Okay. Who's following that ban list? Because I'll tell you right now, the rules committee has to be thinking to themselves, there's going to be a lot of people, with Commander as big as it is, how many people are going to follow that rule?
Well, I mean, that I think brings up the distinction of the ban list within your normal playgroup, or versus sanctioned events.
Yeah.
Like, if you have a judge around, then that's who's going to enforce it. But if your playgroup, where it's 4 or 5 people sitting around your kitchen table eating pizza, then no one's really going to enforce it except the people who are already going to enforce, whatever.
I would not want to be on the rules committee, announce a ban, and then find out that most people are just ignoring it. Your level of control as the rules committee is that people will go along with the ban list that you're proposing. And if enough players are playing Magic, there is a good chance that a lot of those players are going to ignore whatever you suggest for a ban list and just play on. I mean, I have an internal group. The rules committee doesn't care about my group. We have our own built-in set. They're not building the ban list for us. So when I pull out a silver-bordered Commander, well, that's on the ban list. But nobody in my group cares, because they already know what the power level is. They know that, there's a level of goofiness because there's going to be dice flying around. But right. For the most part, it's still, it's acceptable to the group.
Right. It's that social contract that, it's the understanding of it. It's what I feel like I keep bringing up this season, the self-awareness of you are in your playgroup for a reason, and if you get too out of control, you will no longer be part of that playgroup.
Right.
And I mean, that's the ban list is something to point to when having those difficult discussions. It's like, well, the people, the powers that be that govern this format have decided for one reason or another that this card shouldn't be played in this format. And I mean, for as much as that's what this is all about, is having those discussions, is not necessarily being you're out because you're playing this card. It's because I'm sure if somebody were to have a problem with your silver border deck, and you called them out on something banned, say Primeval Titan, they could turn around and be like, yeah, but you've got Buzzbark, and then that's just that leads into a different discussion. But to add more to that ban list, it's more to keep track of, which is difficult.
Yeah.
And it requires the vast majority of the the player base who aren't keeping up to date on every little minutia detail, little factoid about the format. Because like that's the thing, is like if they were to ban Smothering Tithe tomorrow, I don't know, 20% of the Commander community would know about it, if that.
Barely, but yes.
Yeah, right. That's my point, though. Is like, it wouldn't matter, and even if it did reach everyone, what you're saying is a lot of people just would still play it because they realized like what's going to happen, you know?
Yeah. Now, to be clear, I know that we're getting close to the end. I just want to make it clear. This is not me or Andy suggesting that they need to ban more cards or they should never ban a card. I'm not saying that. Andy's not saying that. I'm just discussing the way the Commando community is set up right now. It seems virtually impossible to me that the rules committee is ever going to ban a card. That's just a product of the situation now, not what I'm looking forward to or what I can't stand. I'm also not looking for them to unban a bunch of cards. That's a whole different discussion, and I'm not talking about the cards. You know, we can go through, like we've mentioned Primetime a couple of times, and I know there are a number of people who say that it should just be unbanned. It's fine now because it's a 6-mana creature and people don't do that anymore. I'm not here to debate that part. I'm just saying that based on the things that I've already said, the rules committee is just not going to ban a card from Commander. They're just not going to. That's all.
I think that this discussion kind of comes down to two things for me. One, the weird. Sorry, I keep hearing my cat meow in the background. The like weird, oxymoronic nature, I guess, the contradictory nature of the ban list means so much and the ban list means nothing at the same time.
Yes.
And that's the big thing for me. And then I think for the second thing, it's like, I hesitate to say there will be 0 cards added to the ban list, but I think that what this discussion brings up for me is the idea that like Wizards should pump the brakes on pushing cards, right? Like pushing the power level, because like that's what is making it harder to like to make justifiably janky decks.
Right.
And I think that it's really on them rather than the rules committee to like to guide the format forward, unfortunately, because it is like a fan made format. It's based in the players.
Yes.
But I think you could have the same conversation to standard players of like, yeah, they need to stop making things so powerful all the time, or like having like a handful of extremely powerful cards.
Right. And something that I didn't mention, and I probably should have, if Wizards decides to focus on standard, and I believe they should, but if Wizards decides to focus exclusively on standard to the point where they start making cards to make standard good, and don't worry about Commander, just stop paying attention to Commander. You just make those cards. And if that wrecks Commander, fine. If Wizards gets to that point, then yes, the rules committee may ban a card. May. But we're not there, and we're not going to be there for a very long time.
Yeah.
Wizards knows full well exactly how much money they're making from Commander. Even if they are trying to create formats that are more standard friendly, they're trying to encourage people to play more standard tournaments. They're still very aware of how every single card will affect the Commander format. And until they make a grievous error, there's just not going to be a ban.
Yeah.
There's just
And
not.
I think the sweet spot really was when they were focusing on standard, like you were saying, but also
Yeah.
they had, 5 commander decks a year, all came out at the same time, sometimes 4. And then
Loved
they
it.
also had like a tertiary multiplayer format,
Yep.
uh, like Battle Bond or like Conspiracy.
Right.
And I mean, like the last time we had that was just before, I think, just before the War of the Spark block. It was like before Ravnica Legions, before Guilds of Ravnica. There was, I think, the last one we had things like the pirate with the treasures,
Yeah.
the monkey pirate.
Ragavan.
No,
No.
before that, well before that, because like the last time we had like just the commander set commander decks,
Oh, okay.
it was the one where it was like comes in, makes treasures equal to enchantments and artifacts.
Oh God. That's the goblin.
Yeah, the
Oh,
monkey.
I thought you were talking about the monkey.
Well, it's a monkey goblin from
Is it?
Ixalan. Yeah, from Ixalan.
I thought it was just a straight goblin.
Well, I mean, like creature type, yes, but
Oh, okay.
it's it looks like a monkey. Uh,
Why am I blanking on the name? 'Cause that's another one. It's been popular for long enough that if it dominated the format, it would be banned. But it's not dominating the format because it costs a fortune.
Dockside Distortionist.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
It's a $75 card, but like that. I
Yeah.
mean, that's what I mean though. Is like that was like the last like reasonably bannable card because it was
Yes.
in that time. We weren't constantly getting commander cards. We weren't constantly
Right.
getting even multiplayer cards.
Right.
We would get it once a year, and then move on. And I think like it's tough because we do come from a play group where we do have that, I guess, privilege to bend the rules a little, I guess. Like we don't have to necessarily keep to it, but I know that like if say you went to a LGS tomorrow to play, things would be different. Like you would have
Right.
to think about what decks you were bringing. But I mean, I guess that comes back to the point I was making of the contradiction in the rules the ban list and meaning nothing and the ban list meaning everything is because like they're both true. Like neither's untrue, but it is absolutely the spirit of the format that it doesn't like rule you to a T.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, a big part of that is that the list is just not that big, and they're trying to keep it that way on purpose.
Yeah.
The whole idea is you're supposed to be able to play all your cards. Well, if we ban a big chunk of your cards, then you're not playing those cards. So, it's part of the reason why Soul Ring isn't going to get banned.
Let's see. Okay, that's not helpful.
Now, hopefully, we can time this, and then 2 days later, have the rules committee come out and ban a card.
I hope so. Yeah, I mean it's such a hard topic because like we're not trying to crap on the
No, not at all. Not at all. This isn't. I'm not saying. They're never going to ban anything because they just won't do it, no matter how bad the card is. Blah blah blah. I'm saying that all of the discussion that we've had up to this point shows that there is no way that the rules committee will, based on those reasons, the rules committee is not going to ban a card. So, I mean, I know for a fact that they're not going to ban a card for the next year because there's not even anything currently on the horizon that suggests that it should be banned. So if the next card in the next set comes out and they're like, wow, that's really powerful. Look how it's dominating all the current play. they're still going to sit and wait a year until to see if it's still dominating, because the chances are it's not gonna.
Yeah. Like I honestly can't think of the last card other than Dockside that like completely warped the format.
Right.
And
Well,
even
I mean,
Dockside has its place in things like CEDH, and people know that if you are playing Dockside in a casual table and trying to break it, then, you know, disrupt that behavior or something.
well, look at the Elish Norn.
Yeah.
You know, double your triggers, cancel their triggers. That's a broken card. It should absolutely be broken. And I'm confident that if it didn't cost more than $10, if there wasn't self-regulation in the format, if we didn't constantly see more and more and more cards, that card could be ban worthy at least. But right now, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
I feel like in 10 years, we're going to look back at Mother of Machines and be like, oh yeah, remember this jank card?
Right. But at the time when it came out, I've looked at my decks. I've looked at how this runs. Yeah. I mean, you know, that is a card to me that, you know, we should at least be considering banning. But we're not going to. And for all the reasons that I've just discussed, it doesn't hold sway. And honestly, in my play group, it doesn't even exist. No one has it. No one's playing it. I'm not going to introduce it. It hoses my decks worse than anybody else's. Why would I let everybody else in the group know about a card that really hoses my deck?
It's interesting too, because I feel like specifically with that, and I brought this up a couple weeks ago, and maybe they should bring this back because I think they got rid of it, but banned as commander. Like, I think in the 99 it's much less troublesome, but
right. But I keep looking at it. And I'm banned in you know, banned as commander. You still have to dominate. And we're just not seeing that, especially now. How many new commanders come out every single set? Even when you think you've got a dominating commander, you try something else. I mean, Atraxa is probably the one that seems to be able to hold some level of sway, and for the most part, you know, the rules committee is not going to ban that. Well, if they're not banning Atraxa, given the length of time it's held sway, the fact that its cost isn't too prohibitive, the self-regulation isn't super on that card, they're still not banning it because they still don't think it's good enough. They still don't think it's ban worthy. Okay? Nothing's getting banned.
Yeah. Anyway.
So, all right.
If you're part of the rules committee, hi. If you're not part of the rules committee, leave them alone. We're not trying to start a fight here.
I didn't say anything that would start a fight. I just stated a bunch
of
stuff that I think is just basically fact. So
you know how the internet is. I also know how
not the
smaller
people who
audiences.
listen to us. Not the people who listen to us, Andy.
That's true. Go give your local rules committee a pat on the back. Yeah, I don't know. I remember when I started in 2017, the end of 2017, you were like, yeah, once a year there's like a month where like the rules or the ban list is not in effect, you know? And then I was just like, yeah, but like what if that was all year? You know, like it's just it doesn't matter. The ban list. And if you think it does, great. And if you think it doesn't, it may be for different reasons than us, and that's fine too. Ban list, is it worth it? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Keep it. But we just don't think anything will be added to it. That's all.
Yeah. There may come a day, there may come a time when something else will be banned to the list, but as long as we're in the state that we're currently in, no, nothing's getting banned. Don't worry about it. Let it fly. Let's go.
Yeah. Anyway, that's going to do it for us this week. We're going to be back next week with our season finale. So come back for that. Yeah. We're on YouTube if you didn't know. If you're not watching us. If you are watching us on YouTube, press that subscribe button. And I think that's going to do it. So, thanks so much for hanging out. Thank you so much for watching. We're Temple of False Pod. We're X and not optimized, but our plays sure as heck are fun. I'm Andy.
I'm Bruce.
Play some magic for me, please. And have a great night. And may your fifth land be the temple.
Bye!
Wait. Before you go, I just wanted to say thank you for listening. You can reach out to us via email at falsepodmtg@gmail.com or bluesky@falsepodmtg. Bruce is at Manaburned, and I'm at Andy Weekend, though you'll definitely notice I use the podcast Twitter far more often. Now that we've got you here, make sure you subscribe, like, rate us on whatever podcast platform you use. It helps us out. It gets us more reach. Subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. Like a video there. Leave some comments for more casual enjoyment. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back with some more timeless discussions about all things casual. So come hang out, and may your fifth land be the temple. Bye-bye. Should I do my best, Bruce? Bye!